Alright guys, and welcome back to Astrological's Racing. Today we're going to go over the Philips Hue light system, how to properly set it up, and what some of the benefits are to setting this up inside of your rig. So basically, this is honestly one of my favorite upgrades to the rig. It's really creating this dynamic, immersive experience. It's almost building this augmented experience as you're driving through tunnels, different times of day, dawn, I mean, you name it. When you're going through Miami Beach, you got all these different lights. Like, it is absolutely insane. Or if you're driving under some lights, it just flashes up, or even with lightning. The entire weather system is correspondent to this entire system based on the capture area that you guys have. But enough about that. All right, and here we are. This is the Philips Hue website where you're going to download this to the PC. Now there's a couple options here that are both very important to note. You can also download this to your Android or iPhone, which is also going to play a very unique and key role to this dynamic light system. So as you can see, one of the biggest features of this is the Philips Hue bridge, and it is an absolute necessity because what this does is it is your brain of your entire network. So you can connect multiple devices like these two lights here to your network, and they can be synchronized to whatever device, or in this case PC, I'm going to be utilizing. So real quick here, when you download the desktop application, it's going to take you through the prompting process. You're going to download, open the folder, and then go to the Philips Hue desktop app, which looks just like this, right? So once you get to the Philips Hue desktop app, this is the screen that's going to bring you to. And what you're going to do, the first thing you're going to do is connect a new bridge and make sure everything is powered on, connected, nice and tight. And with this, you want to connect. And here shortly, now I'm already connected to my Philips Hue, my Wi-Fi network. And basically when you connect everything is going to pop up, including the Philips Hue bridge. And this is what's going to connect to this application. And once it's connected, you'll see Hue bridge right here. And the next setting that you want to go to is your general preferences. Now there's a couple of things I want to talk about before we get into a few other settings here. So how does this whole system work? How does this even correlate? How does this even compute? And there's two main factors here that how this entire system works. So number one, it's going to be obviously your Philips Hue bridge, and that basically is the brain to your entire system here. This is the performance mode that you can set, and this utilizes your CPU. And a question that I got in the past was like, okay, is this seriously demanding? What does this actually look like when I'm running a computer? Like, do I need a big beefy CPU? What does this actually look like? The answer is you only need about 3 to 4% of this CPU usage when you are in game. So it hardly takes a hit at all, and it doesn't sacrifice a whole lot of information pulling from the CPU, which is actually really good news for just about everybody out there. It's not demanding at all. The next thing you want to do is go down to your display preferences. And what we're going to do is go to we right clicked and went to our display preferences here in the Windows settings app. And you're going to go to, you want to select your center screen. And that's obviously going to be out of the three that you have, or if you have a singular, you just want to make the center one your main display, excuse me. And you'll click make sure that this is your main display here. You'll minimize this, it should automatically save. Then we're going to go down to the tab of display preferences. We're going to select our single screen in the center right here. So one thing that I was a little turned off by this entire idea, and this is pretty much everything in relation to capturing screens, you can only do one screen at a time for now. Now, hopefully Philips Hue actually sees this, and we'll get to the point to where we can select multiple screens across the entire span of this entire setup, and we can capture all three. However, unfortunately, it is only able to capture one at a time for now. Rest assured, I think that they'll be able to actually capture all three at once, right? So we will automatically detect that display. Right, so now this is for audio. We're not going to select any type of audio. We're not syncing with audio, we're not playing music, we're playing a game, and what we're trying to replicate is an atmosphere that is going to be dynamic with the interior lights as you're going through the sunsets. You're going through different shades, going through shadows. As cars are whizzing by you, got a bright red car, it'll reflect off your face over here. Same concept. You're not going to be doing anything audio-wise. Keyboard shortcuts. This is going to be one of the most important. Now, I want to emphasize this is the most important portion of this entire segment here. When you do your capture area, you're going to scroll down. You want to select a capture area key. Now I select A, just easy to remember. And when you select this, for example, when you go ahead and set that, you'll press whatever that is, and you can select basically an area of your screen, like so, and this will be the capture area that your Philips Hue system picks up. Excuse me. So when that is selected, you'll be able to see all of that, and it is now automatically synchronized with this exact capture area that we just drug a box across. You can also add games to your arsenal. Now, obviously we have Automobilista 2 already listed here, and what all this really does is making sure that you're optimized, right? And every time you select Automobilista 2 or boot it up, this automatically starts your system as well, so they talk to each other. Once it's turned on, you're all set and good to go. Now, we will go back to, everything is good to go, right? Everything's connected. We have our hotkey set. We're going to close settings, and what this is going to be your brightness, right? So you can do this little slider here, and this is the type of capture that you can do. So there's a couple different ones. I like to capture either with video or games. Video is a little bit slower. I feel like it's a little bit more dynamic, and games is a lot more responsive. These are going to be your responsiveness. This is going to be how fast your system responds and how dynamic and crazy it can be responded to within the system. We want to make sure that's on insane or extreme here. And we are synced, right? So we're going to go ahead and boot up Automobilista 2. So we're going to select a little bit earlier, probably about 6 a.m. And let's go to a different track. Let's go to maybe Nordschleife, right? Nürburgring. Where would that be? I think I scrolled past it on accident here. There we go. We're going to select this track, and this has really a unique dynamic to it. Now, you notice I do say that word quite a bit because I love creating different levels of immersion, and when you can create more dynamic within the game, you really create a next level experience. So let's let this load in. So as you can see, we still have our capture area, which is going to be still relatively about this zone right here. Now, one thing that I really want to point out to you guys is when you're selecting these capture areas, if you select an area this large, it's going to be blended, right? You don't want to select an area this large, because when you do, unfortunately what happens is this giant blob of inaccurate lighting is going to try and be presented through these. So the translation is going to be very messed up and meshed. So think of it this way. Smaller means more dynamic and more detailed. Larger means unorganized chaos, right? So if we're trying to capture a certain area, this is what our intention is, to actually capture the dash and a little bit of the road over here with these two sway bars. Hold and release. And hopefully I can get some, there we go. And immediately, you guys could see back there, you're going to see some really cool changes in my driving pit here. And as you're driving, and we'll get into different areas of sunlight, you'll see here on my face, my arms, how accurate this lighting is. Another really good key point to point out, when you're driving, you'll notice that with certain systems out there, you have GoV and you have different LEDs that are connected via SimHub, via Bluetooth, right? Unfortunately, with some of these systems like Govee and some of the other systems out there, they're great. Here we go. Look at that, guys. That is incredible. They are incredible. They really are. They do the work. They do the job, right? However, unfortunately, they're not nearly as bright, and there is quite a bit of lag. And what I mean by lag is that when you drive through, let's say, for example, like these shadows right here, they are extremely delayed. Here we go. Here's a good example of this lighting. They're extremely delayed, and they just do not respond well to light changes. Like when we had that screen back there, and I'll pop it up right here, when it said extreme, we want to make sure that we have that selected. There's other companies out there that have this dynamic light system that don't have nearly the response rate that the Philips Hue light system has. And I promise you, like, not getting paid whatsoever for this. I'm just trying to educate you guys on some of these different light systems out there, on why it's important to spend a little bit extra on these type of light systems. And there's nothing wrong with having Govee or other Bluetooth devices. I'm letting you guys know that there's options out there, and that this is one of the most accurate options for sure. So this is a pretty good example. So once we get around this corner here, you'll also be able to see, there we go, how this light system reacts inside of the cockpit here. And it is remarkable. It's truly incredible. And this is a huge reason in how I create these videos. So that's going to wrap up today's video. And one other thing that I really wanted to point out was this stagnant light behind me. And there's not a whole lot of information. I'll go more into detail about that in another video. But basically all it is, it's a stagnant studio light with a giant honeycomb that diffuses the light and creates a softbox. And what the softbox does is it's not like a spotlight, but it diffuses it so that it meshes together and it gives you a very unique and dynamic lighting. So with that, you can select different color temperatures. Like let's just say, for example, we're obviously driving here at this time of day, which is roughly about 5200K. And you'll remember these numbers in your head in relation to how warm you need to make the lighting or how cool you need to make the lighting based on the time of day. And the more accurate you are with these numbers, the more accurate you can also create an immersive experience, not only for yourself, but for your viewers as well. Excuse me. So with that being said, that will be today's video. If you guys did find some value in this, hopefully you guys did, and I was able to break this down pretty simply. So as you guys can see, it's a relatively easy and simple process on how to set this up. With a couple of Philips Hue light bars, you don't have to have this extravagant setup like I do with the headliner and the roll cage. This just kind of encloses the environment and kind of makes it a little bit more real for me, and obviously more real for the viewers as well. It's funny, I had this guy comment on the TikTok the other day. He's like, man, I couldn't tell the difference. And it's pretty cool to just see how far really this whole thing has come. And just to highlight that, it was just a couple years ago, I was just scrolling through TikTok and I was watching this live. I think it was Ichi or somebody who was doing this live race, and I'm like, what in the world am I watching? And it was this guy just streaming a Simrig setup, and I'm like, that would be really cool to have one day. And sure enough, here we are. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time.